Combination. Give him the combination. Combination. Oh, wait.
OMG. Sir Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And let me get my mic placement right as we proceed to give you what you need. Okay. Let's get the proper banner up. That's not it. Hold on. Let's have a look at these settings. Okay. Let's get that out of here. That's not what we're looking for. Let's get the proper thumbnail up. Yes. Okay, I've been rushing around. Let's get into it. You know what this is? We had to go live. We had to cover this live. News came out this morning. Shout out to the Leon figures for giving the Rafi the tip off about what was going down. Okay, and what is going down? Well, it's Joshua versus Whyte is off. It's off. Why? Due to what Vada say was an adverse finding in a routine sample from Dillian Whyte. OMG. How many times has Dillian Whyte had problems with Vada with regards to and pertaining to an adverse finding? Last time around, what was it? It was some tainted sample, which took a long time to resolve. What was it? Weeks, if not months, to resolve that issue. But then it came back. It was all about the B sample, all about the A sample, the B sample. Anyway, eventually, after many weeks, Vada came back and said, no, he's okay. It was something was wrong with the sample, but it was not down to Dillian Whyte, and that was when he was scheduled to fight, or it was mandatory to fight. Who was it? Deontay Wilder. Mandatory to fight Deontay Wilder, but conveniently that sample came in or came back as adverse, and then they sidelined him. The WBC sidelined him and said, no, Tyson Fury is now the mandatory, even though Tyson Fury was already scheduled to fight Deontay Wilder anyway. Or was it the second time? Yeah, I think the second time. So let me do a sound check. First and foremost, we bring up the article or bring up an article, and then we get into the chat. But first things first. Let's get this. Let me pin the link. And let's get this sound check done. Let's get this. Let me pin the link. And let's get this sound check done. Let's get this. Let me pin the link. And let's. Okay. That's very loud and clear, crystal clear. So the sound check is good. Now let's pull up an article. Which one are we going to go with? Okay. Let's go with that one. We found one. Boom. 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 How's that look on the screen? Okay. Very good. So let's get into the comment section, see what's going on. Okay, so Malcolm Marcel up in the building. Eddie Hearn in the zone. Must be a curse. Time. Leon Edwards. Yes. No. The fight is dead, but we are live. Peace, Mr. Dawkins. Peace to the panel and peace to the chat. Shout out to the Leon figures who gave me the tip off about this adverse finding this morning. And in comes the Malcolm Marcel. We thought boxing was on a height after last Saturday. Yeah, that's what we thought. Bruce, Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more up in the building. I'm doing very well, Bruce. Doing very well. Had to be rushing around, but wanted to get this live out there. The people need to know. People need to know what's going on. Ace 1982 up in the building. Good to have you. Good to have you up in here. What's this? Last Saturday was different. What's going on? Let's have a look at this here. Last Saturday was different. Two boxers on a rebuilding mission after failing title shots in their second but last fight. Spence versus Crawford was greatness. Joshua versus Whyte otherwise. OMG. The heavyweight division is a joke right about now. Yep. Well, definitely unfortunate goings on and unfortunate news with this one. Although, to be quite frank, I was not a proponent of this fight, but since it was happening, hell, yeah, I thought, why not? Let's watch it. Let's watch it anyway. Since his pathetic effort versus Fury, who cares? OMG. Yeah, that wasn't his most sparkling or shiny of hours. Okay, let's get into this. Let's see what they're saying. Dillian Whyte, I am completely innocent. Where's that thing gone? Where is it? Gotta be there somewhere. Did it drop out? Did I accidentally exit out? I think I accidentally X'd it out. Or is it somewhere else? Yeah, there it is. Let's get this back in. Okay, so let's get into it. I am completely innocent. Let's read the full story. Okay. So, what's this here? Let's have a read of this. Okay, so Dillian Whyte has taken to Twitter to claim his innocence in response to the reports of his positive test with Vada, resulting in the cancellation of his August the 12th rematch against Anthony Joshua. Okay, so Whyte states that he's disappointed that the fight is being cancelled without him getting any chance to demonstrate his innocence. It would likely take time for Whyte to prove his innocence, and with the event taking place on August the 12th, it would be too risky to keep him on the card as Joshua's opponent. Okay, despite misgivings by many boxing fans about using Whyte as Joshua's opponent for the August the 12th event, this was the guy that he wanted. It's now clear that his judgment was off. It's saying, oh, they're blaming Joshua. They're blaming Joshua for Dillian Whyte's adverse test result. Okay, there is a possibility that Derek Chisora might step in. I didn't want to get into that. Didn't want to get into that just now, as I already said that in the video. Okay, so Eddie Hearn probably won't want to match Joshua up against anyone in the top 10 because he wouldn't have adequate preparation time to get ready before August the 12th. Okay. It'll be interesting to see if the 35-year-old Whyte is eventually able to prove his innocence. But you can imagine that will take some time to do. Okay. It wouldn't be surprising if Whyte is still trying to slug through the legal mess of proving his innocence a year from now. And by then, obviously, his chances of a tremendous payday against Joshua will have long passed. A year from now, we expect that to take a year? I don't think so, but months, possibly. It's unlikely. The article goes on to say that it's unlikely that Hearn will ever use Whyte as a potential option for Joshua in the future. Well, that's what they say. Well, I say never. We've seen crazier things. With today's reports of Dillian's adverse analytical findings for his Vada test, you can also forget about being given a second chance. Isn't that the same thing? As far as replacements goes, Eddie Hearn will obviously dig up someone close to what Whyte would have brought to the table in terms of talent or lack thereof to face Joshua on August the 12th. This is a rather scathing piece. But is it inaccurate? That's the question. Whyte has arguably lost 3 of his last 4 fights with knockout defeats against Tyson Fury and Alexander Povetkin and the highly controversial 12-round decision win over Jermaine Franklin. Do I think it was controversial? No, not really. It was close. I had it even at round 10, up to round 10. Of course, Jermaine Franklin had never fought a 12-rounder. I had it even up to round 10. That's 5 rounds apiece. And then on my scorecard, Dillian Whyte took the 11th and 12th. So close, yes. Controversial, not to my. As this here, Dan Raphael writes, I'm told Matchroom Boxing is seeking a replacement to fight Joshua and hopes to keep the card on, but it's a fluid situation. Isn't this the 3rd time he's been innocent for a failed test? 3 times? Is it 3 times? Has it been 3 times? Okay. Let's get deeper into this. Let's have a look what people are saying in the chat. Okay. Leon figures, I predict Whyte will be cleared to fight. Very good lawyers. And this is not his first rodeo with getting cleared for an adverse finding. It wouldn't surprise me if he was cleared early on. But the time scale is not favorable. 7 days. 7 days, that would take some remarkable lawyer work, remarkable footwork on the part of the lawyers. Did I expect Eddie Hearn to make the same mistake again? Did he? Was it a mistake last time? I think he was exonerated last time. Thumbs up, Georgie Porgy. DJ Georgie Porgy up in the building. How you doing, Georgie? How you doing? The red gloved militant up in the building. Shake my damn head, Dillian Whyte. I know. B sample palaver. Well, they're saying it's an adverse finding. I don't know if they're saying they found Shizzle in his system or just that the readings, the analytics were off. What's this here? Bring in John Fury for a laugh. OMG. That's the Wizard Sleeves. I hate when close fights that go to the scorecards are called controversial decisions. Yeah, it's not really controversial to me. Seems disingenuous. Wasn't really. It's close, but wasn't controversial to me. It's pretty clear scoring. And we have the John Daly up in the building. John, can you go out and come back in because your picture ain't showing? Can you go out and come back in, John? Because your picture ain't showing, your icon. Let's put something up in there. Yes. Three time. No, not in time for the Joshua bout. Yeah, I hear you. The tavern up in the building. White uphill battle. The cup paid in melted. OMG. The tavern up in the building. The red glove militant, the DJ Georgie Porgy. Many more. Okay. So let's get deeper. Let's go deeper. As a matter of fact, who do we think is going to be in line for the shot against Joshua? Because I don't think they're going to cancel it. I don't think it's going to be cancelled. So who do you think? Who will replace White? Who will replace White? Well, recently, in the last week or so, Chisora was mentioned, and Washington. Gerald Washington was mentioned as a potential. Well, no. They were mentioned as fighting each other. Not Jarrell Miller. Where's the poll? The poll's right there. Chisora and Gerald Washington. I better write in Gerald. I better write in Derek. Derek Chisora, Gerald Washington. So those are the first two names on the poll. So let's get into this. To John D. Lee, how do you do?
Good evening, Ralph.
How you doing, John?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was a bit shocked to see this news. Do you want my actual take on this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I think this is people trying to prevent Matchroom from putting on big shows in the UK.
Okay, expand.
Well, Conor Ben's just been cleared, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He only had an adverse finding.
Oh.
So there was no case to actually answer.
Oh my gosh.
Dillian Whyte, it's the second time he's had an adverse finding.
Yeah.
Last time there was no case to answer.
Oh,
I can give other examples of Vada having adverse findings that prevented people from fighting Dillian Whyte. No, sorry, Deontay Wilder. That then ended up having no case to answer.
dang.
And I actually said on a different platform that was discussing Conor Benn being cleared,
Yeah.
that I think there's corruption and people are getting paid off. And the Conor Benn Chris Eubank fight was going to be a very big fight in the UK.
Yeah.
On the Matchroom platform. Now, I wasn't really in favour of the fight. I thought it was a bit of a circus fight. The weights that the two of them fight at are too far apart for me.
Yeah.
It's not going to be competitive like their fathers. But it would have generated money.
Yeah.
It would have generated money. I mean, Eubank Ben numbers that they did in the UK were outrageous.
For real.
Millions of people watched that fight live on TV. So it would have generated interest and money. He's not actually been found guilty of anything just yet. Normally, when you test positive, when you pop, it's not an adverse finding. They say what it is.
Yeah, they say what it is.
Yeah.
They say they pop dirty.
Whereas if it's an adverse finding, then it stops a fight, but there's no subsequent ban.
It's crazy, yo. It's crazy.
I think this is to actually scup an Eddie Hearn card. That's my gut reaction. Now, Dillian Whyte's history of PEDs, I don't know what it was when he was a kickboxer in K1, but he had a ban. His second ban was for boxing, and that was for an over-the-counter supplement. I think it's Jack 3 or something. It's like a pre-workout.
Jack 3D.
Yeah. It's a pre-workout, and it had in it a substance that was banned, and he got banned for that. Whether it was intentional or not intentional, the ruling is the athlete's responsible for what he puts in his body.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a professional athlete shouldn't be buying over-the-counter supplements like that.
For real.
And he served his ban for that, and that was a long time ago. This isn't a failed test. It's exactly the same thing that happened before the Rivas fight. It's an adverse finding.
Uh-huh.
Now, the reason that the Oscar Rivas test was clearly something was off was that he'd passed the UCAD test like days before.
That's right.
And the half-life of the substance meant he wouldn't be able to pass those two tests that close together.
For real.
Because he would have failed both, because all substances have a half-life in your system. If it was Dianabol, which was the rumor, I mean, the half-life on Dianabol is really long.
Very long.
Which is why I don't believe any professional athlete would ever take Dianabol.
Highly unlikely.
Because there's other substances that are probably more effective for a boxer than taking Dianabol anyway.
Yeah.
And it's easy for you to get caught taking it.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's short of cash. They don't even make Dianabol anymore anyway. You have to get a dodgy copy from somewhere like Mexico or somewhere like that to actually get the equivalent of it.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a nonsense. So that previous incident that he had, in my opinion, was to protect Deontay Wilder from having to fight somebody with a punch. Because when Povetkin won the mandatory on the purse bid,
mm-hmm.
the meldonium tests that he failed were also overturned in court.
For real.
He's an idiot, and he went off and tested positive for something else afterwards anyway. So I'm not ever trying to pretend that Povetkin is a squeaky clean athlete. But that particular test that stopped Wilder from fighting Povetkin was overturned in court. They lost in court, and he had to pay Povetkin damages. Povetkin won.
Yeah, that's right.
And also, the Luis Ortiz one was extremely fishy. And that also prevented Wilder from having to fight Luis Ortiz as mandatory. They actually replaced Luis Ortiz's mandatory spot with a grossly out of shape Stavern.
Mm.
And I think you can pay off Vada. I'm quite convinced of it, because that's Dillian Whyte getting stripped of his mandatory status. Povetkin getting stripped of his mandatory status with no case to answer in both instances. Conor Benn being prevented from fighting Chris Eubank for a massive fight in the UK with no case to answer. And it wouldn't surprise me if this comes off that there's actually no case to answer. So who would have a reason to try and scupper this fight? Well, I don't know whether there's, however people see it, is competition for that Usyk card, but that's being sold as a pay-per-view.
Well,
but it also hurts Matchroom generally, and there seems to be a lot of people with a lot of agendas against Matchroom at the moment.
Well, if this is indeed a conspiracy against Matchroom, the zone, then they're doing it in plain sight. Have they gone to the well? If it's true, have they gone to the well too many times? If it's a conspiracy, then it's a conspiracy in plain sight, and it would be rather audacious. And in comes our man in the Caribbean. It's the Iron Kong. Iron Kong, how do you do?
Hi, Raphael Dawkins there in the luxurious Dawkins Towers.
Absolutely.
The general himself, John Daly.
Indeed.
Hearing the news like anybody else was a surprise, same thing. Because it was just like, every time Anthony Joshua was supposed to fight a big fight lately, it's always something. It's always something. Some weirdness, some wildness. You know what I mean? It's odd Dillian didn't pop for the Franklin fight, but he popped here. I was saying before, you know, I was really hoping that maybe it's just some weird contaminant, and not that Dillian was actually doping. But if you're doping, when they say why you pop for is adverse finding. Well, what's an adverse finding? I don't, you know.
An adverse finding could be anything. You know, it's just like this, basically the scientist picking up the tube and say, "Oh, this looks weird. We're gonna have to ban him from fighting until we clarify what this is."
Okay, well, you know, I don't know what's happening. You know, Mr. Dealey alleges some form of skullduggery happening, but we'll see. You know, I am one who didn't necessarily believe Conor Benn, but then I also see that sort of agenda from UCAD and the British Boxing Motor Control, where Ben seemed to have been put through more than I've seen any other athlete in the UK put through for PEDs. You know, and it's weird because UCAD doesn't seem to be letting this go when he didn't fail any of your tests. You know, and no, this Dillian Whyte news, you know, it's just disappointing. I hear Derek Chisora talking about he would step in. I have absolutely no interest in Derek Chisora fight Anthony Joshua. So I thought the Gerald Washington fight was fine. It's two people who are nowhere near anything in the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
they're not bothering anybody, and they're just gonna fight amongst themselves. You know, I don't know what they'll do. Some people saying, "Oh, he should fight Filip Hrgović." No, he shouldn't. Philip Hogovich needs a camp for himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, the people just whatever. People just once again want Anthony Joshua to do things that no other athlete would do, no other boxer would do. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't know what will happen, but all I know is another Anthony Joshua fight, another nonsense happening. It's always some foolishness happening around Anthony Joshua fight. And if what Johnny's saying, there's a level of unscrupulous behavior happening in Britain right now. I hope it's covered fast, because this is really unfortunate, because they're playing with people's livelihood, people's reputations. You know what I mean? Yeah,
For real. For real, for real. The poll is up. The poll is up. People talking about Victor Conte. People talking about Snack. People talking about Vada. What's this? There is no connection of any type, of any day-to-day basis, any day-to-day connection on any day-to-day basis with Vada 2023. Victor Conte, head of Snack. Well, Victor Conte, you know, he was the guy who helped Olympic athletes, namely sprinters, to get through the drug test, which ultimately failed when a number of his fighters got popped for formula that he called clear. It should come up clear on your tests. And it did come up clear, but eventually, you know, people started talking. Some people started talking. Retests were done, and people ended up in jail for that shiznix. Well, Conte came up. He helped the officiating bodies like Vada, and he was allowed to get back in the sporting world. And he's the head of Snack. A lot of people use that facility to optimize their performance legally. There has not been any bust leading directly back to Snack. No problem, come says be right back. Leading direct to Snack. That ain't happened. So, you know what I mean? I guess it's innocent until proven guilty with Snack. I find it difficult to believe that he'd risk his livelihood again and risk the jail time. Not impossible, but highly improbable. Okay, let me drop that back in the chat, link back in the chat. Let's have a look what people are saying. I wonder how long the British Boxing Board of Control knew about this before informing the Zone and Eddie Hearn. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Okay. I hope they pick the replacement wisely. Well, we got a poll going up, or the poll is up, excuse me. And the options are Derek Chisora, because we know Derek Chisora was fighting Gerald Washington. So Derek Chisora is one option. Gerald Washington, another. Philippe Hergovic and Michael Hunter. Okay.
Let's make a point about that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think Derek and AJ will ever fight each other.
No, neither do I.
They're friends, aren't they?
Yeah.
And AJ grew up in that Finchley gym, so I just don't think they could do it. I don't think it would work.
No, I don't think so. I think
they're too close, and there's too much mutual respect between the two of them, like to really do what they need to do.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that Derek would be on there, but Gerald.
Joe, well, you know what I said about Joe Washington.
Yeah, yeah. I think you like the fight. You like that fight.
Well, what I like about it is I think it's good preparation for Wilder because the dimensions are relatively similar. So, and if you're going to have to come off short notice and fight someone short notice, he's not a ridiculous risk.
No.
Because he's had to do 2 short notice fights. One was a total disaster. And the other one was a bit boring in Taka. It was a late replacement for Bulev. But we're only a week out, aren't we?
Yeah, it's this time next week.
So, I mean, if they're going to rescue the card, to me, do you really want to risk it against Hrgovic? Like, no prep?
Do you want to risk it for a Swiss kid? What about bringing in bringing back in Andy Ruiz?
I think you gain more out of fighting Joe Washington because AJ hasn't fought a tall boxer for a long time. And if you're serious that this is a prep for Wilder, why do you want to fight another short man with short arms?
Why do you want to fight a T-Rex?
Yeah. Like, I'm not knocking the T-Rex's ability to do something in the ring.
Right.
But it's not really relevant to fighting a man with an 83-inch reach who's 6'7".
No.
So Joe Washington is 6'6". At least he looks the part. I don't think he's very resilient. He's got some skills. He was actually piecing up Wilder before he got knocked out.
Yeah, he was doing well. He was doing very well.
He was winning the fight. He's not robust enough to take the power. Although he knocked out Hellenius, didn't he?
Knocked out Hellenius.
So he's not like complete waste of time. He's just
just hasn't fought for a couple of years.
He's just not. But even when he was fighting regularly, he didn't have that. I think he suffers with the Joe Parker syndrome, like a bit of lack of dog.
Yeah, he did do, but maybe I don't know. Is he going to come back better than he went?
Well, you're going to come back better than you went with that level of inactivity.
Gerald Washington. Let's Gerald Washington. When was the last time he was in the ring?
But
in the ring. 2022. He's fought 2 times. Hold on. So maybe he hasn't retired then. Hold on. He'd been out since he fought Robert Hellenius in July 2019. And then he was not seen again until February 2020. Okay, that's only about 8-9 months. Okay. That was Charles Martin.
That's also in COVID times as well.
Yeah, that was in COVID times. That was Charles Martin. He lost via TKO in the 6th round. Where are we now? Ali Aaron Demerizian. He fought him in 2020. What month is that? The Americans jumble up everything, so I don't know what month is that. January? But then how could he have fought Charles Martin in February? Oh no, hold on. So he fought Charles Martin in 2020. And then he was out of the ring for 2 years. And he fought Demerizian in the beginning of 2022. So he's out of the ring for 13 months. And now his last fight is in January of 2022. It's now August of 2023. So that's a year and a half. So he's been out of the ring for a year and a half this time. Before that, he was out of the ring for 2 years. And before that, he was out of the ring for a year. So it looks like he's got on a schedule of 1 fight per every 1.5 years. 1 fight per 18 months. And he has not won a fight since knocking out Robert Helenius in the 8th round. And one cat that came to mind just now was a certain Charles Martin, who just lost to Jared Anderson. Well, the problem is he probably hasn't been back in the gym. Probably hasn't been back to the gym. He lost to Jared Anderson over 10 rounds in, when was that? That was June. Was that June? Yeah, the 7th month. It had to be June. The 1st of June. Okay, 1st of June. So what's that? That'll be 6 weeks. It's 5 weeks now. It'll be 6 weeks. Has he been back in the gym? If he's been back in the gym, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. So it might have to add Charles Martin. Damn, there's too many names to go in the. There's too many names to go in the poll. Too many names to go in the poll.
I'm not sure he really wants to fight at Southpaw. Sure.
Hold on a sec. He's a Southpaw, isn't he? Yeah. What's the point in fighting the Southpaw again?
I wouldn't do that. Particularly, it's not preparation for Wilder.
No, it isn't.
Like, ultimately, if you're going to try and salvage the fight, you might as well just have a showreel knockout, which I think Gerald Washington, that's probably all he's really good for. But he's a big lump, he's 6'6". He never looks out of shape.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not sloppy.
He
looks credible to the casuals.
Looks casual to the.
He looks more credible to the casuals than Dillian does. He's just not as good a fighter.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the flip side of that is that people who know the boxing have bought tickets. We've got an Aaron Daly up in here. I don't know if he's up in the chat right now, but he was up in the video. And he said he's fuming. He bought tickets, and he said he'll continue to fume if they don't replace Dillian Whyte with someone credible. I don't think Gerald Washington is going to cut it. I don't think Gerald Washington is going to cut it for the thousands who bought tickets. I don't think he's going to cut it.
Well, I agree that if you know anything about boxing, you won't cut it. But I disagree that everybody who's going to the fight will know as much about boxing as Aaron Daly. He does know quite a lot. I listened to Wingy's podcast when he was put on there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that go to Anthony Joshua fights are just straight casual.
Straight casual, you said?
Yeah, like a lot of them are.
Yeah, but I think we got the internet now. I mean, it's just information is just a fingertip away, and they're going to look at his resume and see that it is utterly abysmal.
You say that, Rafi, but then look at what other people have been up to.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the level of fights of the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at what other people do, and this isn't an intentional thing, is it? Like, there's no way that AJ and Eddie Hearn wanted this to happen.
That's true. That's true.
You can fight Hrgovic and please the hardcores, but you're not giving yourself proper preparation for Hrgovic at all, are you?
No.
Really not. So, do you really want to take that risk in this situation? The other alternative is to cancel the fight, but then you've had a training camp.
Yeah.
You're a week out. He's actually finished training camp. I'm assuming he's in the UK. So
finish the training camp.
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you do something that looks good to the casuals?
Yeah.
Or do you appease the hardcore boxing fans who probably won't be happy with whatever you do anyway?
Well, I think we definitely need a fight. The poll is open. Let me say Let me see what's going on in the chat.
Unless Eddie's actually got someone on standby who we don't know about, who's not on the card. That's the other thing.
Well, I mentioned in the video that Eddie often has people on standby for the main event, so it's a big main event. So I would be inclined to think that Eddie has someone on standby. What the caliber is, I don't know. But it's a good point that other cats out there have been fighting some very, very average opponents. And it's interesting. If you said, what about age? I read a post on social media, and a cat said that he wasn't going to fight. He wasn't going to watch this joke fight anyway. But I thought that was interesting because I know he's a big fan of the Tyson Fury, and I had half a mind to text him and say, or to message him and say, well, did you watch Fury's last fight, which was against Derek Chisora? Did you watch his fight again? Before that, which was against Dillian Whyte. So if Joshua moved Chisora up to fight him, would you think that was a joke fight? But then that was the last fight that your man's Tyson Fury had. And how is it a joke fight when was it a joke fight when Tyson Fury fought Dillian Whyte? Or is it only a joke fight when Anthony Joshua fights Dillian Whyte? Because your man's Tyson Fury had just fought Dillian Whyte. So I'm not sure how it was a joke fight. I'm not sure. Before we crack on, let's have a look in the chat. The Cal L is up in the building. Salute to the Combat Radio Nation. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell for notifications. And don't be afraid to put a little bit of color in the chat. You know how to do that, don't you? Or have you forgot? Put some color in the chat and hit all the good buttons. If you so see fit. Okay. Wilder is trying to get him in. Trying to get who in? Trying to get who in? Charles Martin, too busy walking the earth like a god. Walking the earth like a god. For all those who don't know, prior to Joshua fighting Charles Martin in their face-to-face, whatever you call that show. Oh, and I hope we still get to see the face-off with Dillian Whyte versus Anthony Joshua. Have they shown that yet? Or are they keeping it up their sleeve? Have they shown that yet? Face off with Johnny Nelson, whatever they call that show. Let's have a look. I chose Gerald. Gerald Washington, says Dr. Wodak, up in the building. What's going on? Joshua has to be peeved about the situation. Well, hey, can there be any doubt? He's got to be. What's the name of that show? Anybody know? The face-off show. The gloves are off. Let me have a look. Let me see if I can find that. Joshua Whyte 2. The gloves are off, because I was looking forward to watching that. The gloves are off. Let's have a look. We've got 40 seconds. 44 seconds there. And we got another show with them sitting, facing each other that could trick a few thousand people, probably has tricked a few thousand people into just clicking that, thinking it was the gloves are off, which it is not. So I'm looking for the gloves are off. And I can't see it. The gloves are off. There's loads of thumbnails which will trick people into thinking they're watching the gloves are off. But they're not. The gloves are off at all. It's trickery. I haven't shown it. OMG. Loads of fake thumbnails fooling the people. But they have not shown it. That's unfortunate. Behind the scenes, this, behind the scenes, what's that? Behind the scenes, press the press conference. So they got the press conference, but they got the gloves are off picture. A lot of spamming going on. Okay, let's get out of that. Gloves are off. 44 seconds. Dang, I was looking forward to that. I was almost as looking forward to that as much as the fight, to be honest with you. But hey, what's going on?
I mean, I wasn't particularly excited for this fight anyway.
No.
And I've always felt Joshua was on a bit of a high to nothing. If he did anything other than knock him out in less than 5 rounds, he'll get criticised for it anyway. It's like, really, I'm not suggesting that that's what Joshua would have intended to do, but a 3rd round knockout would have been the only way to come out of this fight looking good.
Yeah.
Because Fury did it in 5. You did it in 7 last time. So if you can't, if Fury took 2 rounds off your time, if you can't take 2 rounds off it this time around from Fury, you'll just get, oh, he's past it, he didn't hit as hard as Fury, all the rest of it. Well, it's not really that straightforward, because it wasn't Fury's power that beat Dillian, it was Fury's tactics.
Yeah.
And most people would say that Fury has a better ring IQ than Anthony Joshua. I'm one of Fury's biggest detractors, and I would say that he does have a better ring IQ than Anthony Joshua. So he employed the perfect game plan to fight with Dillian Whyte. Whether AJ could employ an equally effective game plan is debatable. Doesn't mean to say he couldn't beat Dillian Whyte in a fight. Also mean he couldn't beat Fury in a fight. What it means is, but executing a well thought out game plan, Fury is very good at that. Yeah,
he is. He is that. Conspiracy theory: Wilder is freezing out Whyte again. Well, I don't think there's their orbits are due to clash. I don't think their orbits are due to clash. I don't think the WBC showed any inclination of making that fight, or if anything, the opposite was the case. So I think the Wilder has firmly distanced himself from Whyte. Wilder's freezing out Whyte again.
If there is any sort of conspiracy going on, in my opinion, and there might not be. I mean, I'm not normally a big fan of conspiracy theories, but I've just seen this with Vada a lot. It's not like it's an isolated incident. I would believe that there are people in Vada you could pay for an adversary to find them. And the person who would have an interest in doing that for this fight would be Frank Warren. And I believe if that's what happened to Conor Ben, it would have also been Frank Warren. And it's interesting, the last 2 big fights Eddie Hearn was put on in the UK have both had the same problem, haven't they? Has he put on a big fight in the UK in between those 2 fights? I don't think he has.
No, I don't think he has. Makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder if there could, if there is a conspiracy for real, and this is the nature of it, because that's some high risk poker, That's some high risk poker. All it takes is for somebody to have a hidden recorder, tape recorder. All it takes is for somebody to screenshot some communications. All it takes is for somebody to record some telephone conversations. All it takes is for somebody to have a hidden camera in the car, hidden camera in the office. It seems like a highly, highly, highly dangerous situation. Highly dangerous.
But we're talking about a
The
sport
big,
that's
the
been
big,
riddled with corruption since its beginning and offset.
indeed. But for any high-ranking individual to be caught doing this in this day and age, in the age of social media, in the age of information technology, I think anybody caught doing this type of thing, to which has been alluded, they would be hung, drawn, and quartered. So I don't know
Well,
if I'm buying the conspiracy theory talk. But I will say this thing is highly suspicious. How can one man still be getting pulled in? Could it be a situation like the John Jones situation, whereby it failed several tests, but yet the amounts that were detected were deemed to be non-performance enhancing levels, and they suggested that they were measured in picograms, which is one part in a million. Very tiny amount. Echoes perhaps from past usage. Is that was the case then? Is this the case now, where people are getting drowned? Who got drowned? What am I talking about? Who got drowned? Picogram. Oh, I know the analogy. I use the one part picogram is like one part in a swimming pool, an Olympic sized swimming pool. That's how picogram is described. Is that what we're talking about? Is that what we're talking about? Some remnants, some trace elements from a long, long time ago? Or just, well, that's never happened before. It's never come up with a picogram before. Or just something that they can't explain, like with Connor Ben. No, it's not that it was tainted. It's just that it was an unexplained finding. And so it's a question of the analytics. The analytics are saying that something ain't right, but we can't actually detect any specific banned substance in his sample.
so the question I also have got, Rafi,
Yeah.
and this always happens to matchroom fighters in recent times.
Well, that's another thing that's quite bizarre.
That's the third one. Whereas we're getting that Tete,
Yeah.
properly fail a test, fight
Yeah.
gun in the head, brutal knockout. How come that, when it's a Warren card, it goes under the radar?
Well, it's very suspicious. I will concede that. It's very, 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 very.
I don't normally like conspiracy theories because I normally think the world is corrupt enough for you to not need any convoluted conspiracy theory.
Right.
But look at the media agenda that there was against Conor Ben after the failing.
It was crazy.
And yet, in that same time that media campaign's been ongoing, a fighter on a Frank Warren card brutally knocked somebody out, tested positive for a serious PED, and we haven't heard a thing about it in there.
Who was that then?
Tete.
Who did Tete knock out?
I need to get it up because I don't really follow that sort of way.
I hadn't heard about Tete. I thought you were saying that he proved positive against Daniel Dubois when they fought, and he got covered up. I thought that's
it's somebody else.
Oh, okay.
And he won a fight on a Frank Warren card, and the guy got brutally knocked out. And I haven't heard Simon Jordan or TalkSport talk about it once.
Wow.
And yet we've had Conor Ben not fail a UCAD test, failed a murder test. That was an adverse finding. The WBC sort of came up with some nonsense to say, okay, we're clearing you now. Once the fight was off, so mission accomplished. Eddie Hearn doesn't have a big pay-per-view fight on. And then he's cleared ultimately by UCAD and Vada anyway. In all actuality, no crime has been found. It was only ever an adverse finding.
It's very, very odd to say the least. It is odd to say the least. I don't know if people can see the screen, but I shall read Dillian Whyte's statement. And if anybody's been sending me messages on Twitter, it ain't gonna reach me because they've had my account suspended. They're saying they're gonna review it for about 3 months now, and there's still no joy. So I'm just seeing how long it's actually going to take them to review a piece. I'm just curious about it. But anyway, let's see how long it takes.
The guy's a guy called Zolani Tete.
He's the guy who was dirty.
Yeah. And it was a UCAD test that he failed, but the fight went ahead. He won by knockout, and it was like a junior featherweight fight. It was quite a while ago.
When was it?
Let me do the proper research, because I'm giving out third-hand information. I've heard other people bring this up.
Okay.
When they've been talking about Conor Ben.
Okay. Let me just read this thing.
Yeah, you do that. I'll try and get some better information.
Yeah, let me just read this thing here. I am shocked. This is from Dillian Whyte. I am shocked and devastated to learn of a report by Vada of adverse. Let's get this. Of adverse findings relating to me. I only learned of this morning, and I'm still reacting to it. I've also just seen that the fight is being cancelled without having any chance to demonstrate my innocence before the decision was taken. I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt that I have not taken the reported substance. What is the reported substance? Has there been a reported substance in this camp or at any point in my life? I am completely innocent and asked to be given the time to go through the process of proving this without anyone jumping to conclusions or a trial by media. OMG. Okay. Let's stop sharing that. And I think there was another. Where's the other piece? Didn't I see another piece? Didn't I? Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thanks for your appeal. What is this? Thanks for your appeal. It's a Twitter link. It takes me straight to the thanks for your appeal and notice on my notice. Thanks for your appeal. You appealed one tweet, May the 18th, 2023. What is it now? May, June, July, August. So coming up to 3 months. And have they done anything? There's a button down there that says cancel your appeal. If you'd rather just delete the content, you can cancel your appeal. What else does it say? It says, Please note that while we review your appeal, you won't be able to access your Twitter account. We'll take a look and respond as soon as possible. If you'd rather just delete the content, you can cancel. So if I cancel, then it'll be on a record that I got suspended previously. So I'd rather there's probably a procedure you can do to speed this process up. I shall research it at some point. I shall research it because they are just taking the living Mickey. Trying to get this thing, trying to see this.
Ralph,
Yo.
I've found the article that I'm referring to. It's a boxing scene article. I've WhatsApped it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you WhatsApped it me.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's my phone? It's right here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where are we? Where are we? Let's have a look at this. Oh.
Joshua Whyte is off due to an adverse finding.
Okay, no, I sent that message. I can hear it on my end. I don't know why you can't hear it and why you couldn't hear it at your end, but no, it wasn't accidental. That was just a message saying Joshua Whyte is off. That was a message I sent you this lunchtime.
Has the article come through to you?
Yeah, I got the article right here.
Yeah. It just, yeah.
Let's have a look. Okay. Queensrÿ Promotions issue a statement on the report of Zolano Tete's positive drug test. Frank Warren's Queensrÿ Promotion have issued an official statement with respect to recent overseas reports of former world champion Zolano Tete testing positive for a banned substance in connection with his July fight with Jason Cunningham. According to a report published this past Monday by the Daily Telegraph, a South African newspaper, the former WBO bantamweight champion faces a possible 4-year ban because he tested positive for a banned substance around the time of his 4th round knockout of Cunningham on July 2, July 2, at the OVO Arena. And that was in 2022. That was November 2022. The testing question was collected by UCAD Anti-Doping, according to the Daily Dispatch. UCAD informed the Drug Testing Authority in South Africa, and then the SA Institute for Drug-Free Sport informed the local governing body. BSA acting CEO Nakwali Sitor confirmed to the Daily Dispatch that his office had received the news of Tete's positive results. We are engaging with Tete. We are confident. Let's see where Frank Warren comes into this. According to a spokesman from Queensrÿ Promotions, they were first made aware of Tete's test when BoxingScene.com reached out for a statement. Queensrÿ Promotions were first informed by BoxingScene.com Monday the 21st. What did they say? The statement explained at this time, Queensrÿ, who promoted the show, has not been formally notified of any issue by UCAD, nor indeed by the British Boxing Board of Control, and therefore without substantiated evidence we are not able to comment further at this time. Without such information, or as to what the substance which has been identified was, we are not qualified to make a further comment. Tete's management refutes the claim and will request that the B sample is analyzed immediately. and will cooperate with any due process. Well, yeah, it's kind of messy, but we haven't really heard anything from that. But it's interesting.
Well,
It's
the point about it is, if you look at the dates,
yeah.
The fight happened in July last year, and then the test got announced. That's at the same time Conor Benn story broke, and that fight never even happened.
Mm.
Have you ever heard anybody on TalkSport ever question Frank about it?
Nope.
Have you seen people going hammer and tongs on Eddie and still trying to have a go at Eddie about Conor Benn now? And UCAD are trying to continue this. I don't know if they've relented now, and I don't know if Conor's got his license back. But there just seems to be, this fight went ahead, actually took place, despite the failed test, not adverse finding, failed test under UCAD. Tete won by knockout, and the story even got broken, and still we didn't hear anybody in the media pulling Frank up about it.
It's very peculiar. Very peculiar. I'm gonna have to look more into the Conor Benn thing because that seems very peculiar as well. Talking about it was an adverse finding. Well, what I thought there was some specific.
There always is. So, like with Dillian's, it was the last one was supposed to be Diana Ball, wasn't it? But it was again trace amounts, which is why it's classed. So I think what creates an adverse finding is the amount is so small it could be accounted for by cross contamination in a laboratory.
It's interesting. The Zone did one with Addy. I just saw a snippet of it. Sky never released the Joshua versus Miller. Gloves are off. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Zone one. There's a lot of people using the thumbnail of it to con people into thinking that they're going to be watching it, but it's not it. It's just the thumbnail and maybe a couple of seconds. So there's a lot of conning going on out there. Hey, maybe I should jump on the way, put the thumbnail up and allude or imply that it's the damn gloves are off or the matchroom version of that, and it's really not. Where is it, man? Release it. Why they should have released it last week anyway. Why is it still under wraps? That's the question. Why is it still under wraps? Damn it. Let's have a look. To be honest, I never felt Dillian was really wanted the fight by removing the rematch clause. I think AJ called his bluff. I think he wanted the fight. You want money, man. You want money. You want that money. You want that money. And Dillian hasn't really, the world's not his oyster anymore. He got frozen out by Wilder. That took a couple of years out. I don't think the world's his oyster anymore. I think you got to collect them big bags while it's there. I think that he has to. So there's no sense in him not picking up the Joshua money while he can. Wilder pays Vada. Fight is cancelled. Wilder steps in place of Whyte. I say no chance. And the reason is because this is not a stadium. This is an arena. Now, if Wilder fights Joshua, or when Wilder fights Joshua, it's going to be a stadium fight, and there's going to be a lot more money involved. So, just to be clear, this is an arena fight, not a stadium fight. So, Wilder will still be holding out for a stadium fight. You know what I mean?
The only way that AJ and Wilder fight is in Saudi because of the money it would take to get Wilder in the ring.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only way that would ever happen.
I mean, would Wilder have at some point relented and had a stadium fight in the UK? I think so, because he seemed to have had a change of attitude after the Fury fight. Because before he was protecting his O, and once Fury bust his cherry, he was less protective of his own. And so the stadium fight, if Saudi never came along, and he looked at the stadium fight money for Joshua, he may have relented. But since Saudi came along, then yeah, it's all about Saudi. It's all about that long money Joshua's been picking up from Saudi, and Deontay Wilder wants some. And so all of a sudden, yeah, I'd like to fight Joshua, sure. Over there in Saudi. I remember when Andy Ruiz was kicking up a racket, says you don't want to fight Joshua in England because the judges might be correct. And then when they said Saudi, he says, no, I don't want to fight him there either. It's a terrorist country. I wouldn't feel safe. And then that mofo went over there and pigged out on the buffet, the sheep's eyes. And he was as happy as a pig in slurry. Apparently packed on some weight over there too.
I like the PG version.
Yeah.
That was a good change of words. That was a good change of words there, right?
Yeah, PG. I've been doing some PG. I'm on a training course at work at the moment. And it was quite interesting because we were talking about there's this, there's a bunch of, we're all adults, obviously. And there's 5 ladies in the group, about 6, 7 guys, 5 ladies. And I got 1 lady each side of me. That's just how it worked out. I was sitting there first. They came one to the left, then one. The one who was sitting originally on the previous day, she was sitting across. All of a sudden, she got there earlier than me the next day, and she was sitting right. She chose a seat which was right next to mine because we left our name things on our table. So she opted to move from over there, come right next to me on the right. Then a girl who never showed up on the first day, she came in. Everybody was sitting around. She had a couple of options, and she sat to my left. Okay, so that leaves a woman opposite me, sitting opposite me, and one sitting to my, say, 11 o'clock to me, further down. The tables are in a U shape. Anyway, the geezer who's running the course, it's a week-long course. Well, actually, it's a week and a couple of days. We did a couple of days this week, and we're going back there for the whole of next week. So, the Rafi likes to stimulate conversation, and just have a convivial time anyway. The cat who's running the course, you leave some notes on your work. You leave your work there. They assess it, and the assessor. And he wrote in the notes column of my work. He said, "Raf, I'm very pleased that you're on the course. Your enthusiasm shines through, and I really appreciate the way you've brought various people into the conversation. People who otherwise may have just been sitting back, not engaged. Very impressed by your work." So I thought that's cool in the game. That's just me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I bring people in, into the discussion, get them to talk. I thought that's cool. So anyway, in our breaks, we go for walks. Some of us, a few of us, 2 or 3 of us, we go for walks rather than just sitting down in the lecture room. So there's one lady who seems quite strident. Seems attractive enough, but she's one of these. Oh yeah, my previous employer. He said this to me, and he said that to me, and then I said this to him. So okay, fine. Could be legit, whatever. But like a Xena the Princess Warrior type, that's fine. But seemed like a quite stout of heart. So anyway, on Friday, the Rafi's gonna have a laugh, and the Rafi's gonna, tickle some ribs and poke some ribs, prod some ribs. So we were talking about men's roles, women's roles, and I thought, okay, let's have some fun with this. So we was talking about, they raised it, some women raised it. They said, well, if the they were talking about changing roles. So one of the girls said, listen, I said, just to provoke, partially because it's true and also to provoke a little bit, provoke discussion. I said, well, the new school's all good, but, I still got some old school in me. I still got some old school values in me. And then they raised the topic of, well, if a woman's working, I said, I still see a woman as a woman. I still see a woman as having particular roles in the household and what have you. And then one of them said, well, listen, if a woman's working and a man's working, then who's going to cook? Who's going to cook the dinner? Who's going to cook the food? Who's going to cook the main meal? And I kind of went, just let them talk some more. Let them talk some more. And then the woman across the way, the princess warrior, she said, well, oh no, I brought it up. There's an associate of mine. He's not the boss of the company, but he works directly under the boss. He's like the underboss. And he told me one time, he said he does long hours, can do, even though it's office based primarily, it's not exclusively. And he does long hours and he does a lot of days. So sometimes it's a 6-day week, sometimes a 5-day week, typically easily 12 hours. So he told me the story that his missus, his wife, the mother of his 2 children, when he goes home, because oftentimes it's gets home late, well past 10 p.m., could be 11 p.m. Around 11 p.m. he gets home oftentimes. And he said that when he gets home, his wife only makes a sandwich for him, a sandwich. He goes home to a sandwich after a 12-hour shift. I said, So he's the sole breadwinner. He's the only one that's working out there. He's the only one that's earning. And I said this to the girls and the women. And I said, so he's the only breadwinner. He's he's the sole source of income for the family. She's a housewife. Both the kids are at school now, young but not toddlers. And when he goes home to a sandwich. And the princess warrior across the way went and said, well, what's wrong with that? And I said, what's wrong with that? The man works a 12-hour day and his wife doesn't have a job, and the most she can do, the most she can come up with is a sandwich. And she said, what's wrong with that? And I said, you don't see anything wrong with that. She says, no. And I said, would you do that to your husband? But I'd already checked out. There's no ring on a wedding finger. I think he divorced her or she divorced him, whatever. She got a couple of kids. I said, you don't have a problem with that? I said, no, I've made a sandwich for my husband before. Well, I've made a sandwich for a partner before. I said, so you don't see anything wrong with a man working a 12-hour day, the sole breadwinner, and him coming home to a woman who has not made him who's only made him a sandwich? She said, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's busy raising kids and cleaning the house. And I said, so you're telling me that you were too busy, although you had 12 hours, within those 12 hours, you was too busy to make the man a meal. And she said, yeah, so I made him a sandwich. I said, you find that acceptable? And she said, yeah. I went, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting, because there's no way on this green earth that I would find that acceptable. What I would do is I'd call her an Uber. I'd help her pack her bags and call her an Uber. Now this is a big, well, it's not big. There's what, 5, 12. There's about 12 people in this room, and office based, and we're supposed to be very PC and what have you. But within that PC framework, I'm getting my digs in. I'm getting my gentle digs in to the ribs and stuff. And then she feels so pressured when I'm saying, well, that woman would have to walk. She'd have to hit the road. I'd call her an Uber for her. I'd help her pack and call her Uber for her. She said, well, and she kind of almost snaps. Did not quite almost snap. She said, well, you do you. I said, yeah, you do you. You do you. Now, My thing is this. We're talking about the change of times, and my thing is this. Where are we at now? Nothing really interesting happened, to be honest. Scared of Frank, don't get how long that's been, and how long has that been? I reckon Cabello. Anyway, a sandwich can't fill up a working man's belly. Well, that's my whole thing. A sandwich ain't even filling me up for lunch. That's what I'm saying. Too busy watching EastEnders. Okay, now check this out. Here's my thing, because with this course that we're doing at the moment, it's a lot to do with time management, looking at your skills and looking at your strong points, your weak points, improving your weak points, enhancing your strong points. So it's quite analytical. So this whole thing fitted in quite well to me, because we've just been talking about time management, and this woman, the Princess Warrior, is telling me that she was too busy to make her ex-husband a meal sometimes. And I didn't really finish off because the lecturer, the was not a lecturer, but the guy running the thing, he said, okay. Because I think what happened is it moved on a little bit. The girl next to me said something. I don't know what she said, but we all burst out laughing. She originally comes from the Eastern European gal with a bit of an accent, but she is very intelligent. But whatever she said, it was just hilarious. I burst out laughing. Everybody else burst out laughing. And then she got really red and flustered and had to come back. She was almost shouting. She had to come back and, try and redeem herself. But everybody was pissing themselves. But we like her. She's cool. The one to my right, she's cool. She's okay. But then I came back. She said, and then I came back to the Princess Warrior over the way. And I said, so isn't it a question of time management? You're saying you didn't have time, but isn't that a question of time management? Because when I came in the morning, prior to that discussion, I told him what happened. I woke up a bit earlier than usual than I needed to. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to fill up the grill with some meats. And some slim sweet potatoes, really slim one. So it'll cook through on the grill. So I did that, cooked some of the meats, wrapped them up, fully cooked some other of the meats. Had that for breakfast. I had a protein breakfast with meats. And I put some stuff away that I cooked. So I'd cooked multiple meals prior to leaving out for work. I let them cook while I was in the shower. So a man could manage to cook several meals, enough for several meals under the grill while I was in the shower. And this lady has got had 12 hours when a man was on a 12-hour shift, and she couldn't come up with one meal. Whereas me, a mere man, managed to cook enough for multiple meals while I was in the shower. How the hell does that work? Okay. John D. Lee says, thanks for having me. Making dinner for the fambo. Nice being chatting. Need to jump off. Hey, much appreciation goes out to the John D. Lee. So at that point, the Princess Warrior then says, well, you do you. So now she's tapped out. But I'm not satisfied. We're back in on Monday. And I want her to acknowledge that it's a time management issue. It's not a time issue. It's a time management issue. And I've been thinking about it some more. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on. Isn't this just a way for you to tell the breadwinner of the house you don't like him? Because you come up with a sandwich for me. You come up with a sandwich for me after I've done a 12-hour shift. If I'd done a 12-hour shift, and I'm sorry, but that simply would not be acceptable. That would not be acceptable. But I want to finish it off. I just want to have a little bit more fun. I want her to acknowledge that if she wanted to do it, she could have done it. I cooked my food. My food was cooking while I was in the shower. How you like that? A few minutes of prep. Slow cook it however you want to. It only takes a few minutes of prep. And you're telling me you couldn't manage that. That's BS. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? If I have some fun with this, I can easily say, well, is that not aggression? Is what you are doing, is that not a form of aggression? Is that not a form of non-physical violence? Man goes to work for 12 hours, he's the sole breadwinner, and he comes back to a sandwich, and the woman says, no, I didn't have the time. Well, are you not a lying? You had more than enough time. You just opted not to do it. You chose not to do it. Time management is something that's being looked at. Are you telling me that if you didn't manage your time, you couldn't have done what was expected to give the man a nutritious meal? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I ain't buying it. But you know, Rafi likes to have some fun, so hopefully somebody brings it up on Monday and Rafi can finish the task, because she's been whining, oh, this, oh, that. Yeah, well, I think I can put a bow on the conversation we had this Friday. I look forward to it. There was an assessor there assessing our work, and he jumped in on the jokes with plenty of bants, you know, how the Rafi stay, plenty of bants. And he said, well, what if it was a big steak sandwich about this long? About this long. What if it was a big steak sandwich about, which hand am I showing? About this long. You only seeing one hand. Why you only see about this long? He says, what if it was a big steak sandwich about this long? And I said, well, yeah, this long. And I said, well, if it's a big steak sandwich about this long, and you got some blue cheese on it, and you got some greens on it, then, hell, why not? Why not? It's a good quality bread, and the steak's about this long. Yeah, then cool. Why the hell not? Why not? So everybody laughed at that, so we left it off as a joke, but I thought it was quite audacious. It was quite audacious. A man could be working a 12-hour shift, and this woman here is saying that, well, if she ain't got time, she just ain't got time. I say that's a hate crime. I say that's a hate crime. You know what I mean? I say that's violence. That's non-physical violence. And Rafi gonna bring it on Monday. Rafi gonna look to tickle them ribs. Rafi gonna look to tickle them ribs. Sandwich can't fill up a working man's belly. Sandwich ain't even filling me up for lunch. Too busy watching EastEnders. Yeah, I mean, it's serious. It's serious. It's serious. Watching EastEnders. How can somebody say that they couldn't make a meal when I made several meals while I was in the shower? And I'm a man. I'm a man to the gulag. Well, it's not even to the gulag. It's like, it's just, why are you lying? Why is she lying that she didn't have the time when she had 12 hours, ample time? She's saying there's no time within that 12 hours that she couldn't stand at the cooker for 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, put everything in a pot, put everything in one pot, put everything in one pot. Probably the reason why it's her ex-husband. Well, I ain't seen no ring on the ring finger, but I know she got a couple of kids. She comes from a culture where they don't really have kids outside of wedlock. So I wanna pursue this. I want to pursue it. I want us to finish the conversation because she slid out. She slid out of this one. I just want to press the point. Are you telling me your man was working for 12 hours and within that 12 hours he was away? He was away for longer than 12. At no point did you feel that you had a chance to make a meal for him. That's utter crapola. It's utter garbaggio. It's utter nonsense. She was earlier on painting herself as a victim of the work environment. Male, she said it's a man's world. She said it's a man's world. Painting herself as a victim in a man's world. But it looks to me that she was the oppressor in this situation. It looks to me that she is guilty of a hate crime. She is guilty of non-physical violence. Yeah, she is guilty of mental violence, of mental abuse, of emotional blackmail. I say all of those things. You know what I mean? Yeah. She didn't slide out. I sent her to the gulag. 50 lashes. Well, it's not even a question of lashes. It's just the hypocrisy of it. The other gals were saying if the man works and the woman works, then, you know, should the woman shouldn't have to be under any obligation to be cooking the main meal. And okay. I mean, I'm not really particularly fussed because Rafi's a good cook in his own right. So I didn't really argue that point. But when we went to the 12-hour scenario, a man working for 12 hours and comes back to, and his wife only makes a sandwich, and that's a habit. That's what she do. That's what she does. And this Xena Princess Warrior across the way backed it. She backed the practice, which is to me unbackable. It's unbackable. You can't back a practice like that. That's absurd. It's outrageous. And when she backed it and she realized she was backing herself into a corner and she realized that what she was saying wasn't very reasonable at all, she just kind of said, you do you. There's a get out clause. She said, you do you. I said, well, yeah, you just got to do you. But what I should have continued to say is the fact of you doing you, don't you think that's a little bit selfish? Because you're doing you while he's working for the whole family, but you're only doing you. Well, he's doing for everybody. You know what I mean? She was Amber Heard and he was Johnny Depp. You know what I mean? But I want to continue this. I want to continue this on Monday. I want her to admit that she was being very unreasonable and selfish. I just want her to admit it, but I want to do it in a nice way, in a friendly way. And I think that's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. If I'm going to do me, I should just do me all by myself. Well, I said to her, well, I said I can do bad all by myself. I mean, I ain't living on no sandwich. Why would I be with a woman who could only provide me with a lesser standard than I can provide myself? How does that make any sense? So I said I can do bad all by myself. You know what I mean? So yeah, so the complaining, talking about it's a man's world. And then when you look at her own actions, it ain't pretty. And when she realized she was in deep, she just said, well, you do you. Tried to cut it. I didn't come back with the perfect response. The perfect response would have been, well, yeah, well, it's because you've been doing you while he's been doing for the family, while he was doing for the whole family, and you was just doing you. Maybe that was a problem. Don't you see how that could be problematic? She was about to take a a shellacking. About to take a shellacking, and she knew it, and she stepped out the side exit, stepped out the side door. But if anybody brings it up again on Monday, I don't think I'll be able to resist. I'm just going to get in there. You know what I'm saying? There's a few more ribs to tickle. There's a few more ribs to tickle. Rafi said he makes oxtails and she's making ham sandwich. Hey, oxtail soup. You know what I mean? She's making some Tesco's ham sandwich. You know what I mean? The liberty of it. I said, I just throw that shizzle in the bin. The girls will gasp. They gasped. They gasped. But yeah, Joshua has to be pissed about the situation. But yeah, I think the poll is still up. I took a diversion, went to the fork in the road, and then went straight. OMG. Let's end the poll. I don't even know why that thing came up. Don't even know why that topic came up, but it's interesting. It's fun. It was on my mind. It was on my mind. You know, the audacity of it. The complaining, talking about it's a man's world. And at the end of it, she says she has made a ham sandwich, or she would make a ham sandwich for her man coming off a 12. She would make a sandwich for her man coming off a 12-hour shift. How you like that? How you like that? You know, I could go deep into that. I could get deep into that. I was saying that's very poor. Do you think that would help the children to see that? Do you think it would help the children to see that? I don't think so. And are they going to follow your example? Your do you example? And continue the selfishness? Is that how it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be good for the children to see that type of behavior? You doing you, while the man's doing for the whole family, but you doing you diminishing the man, diminishing him like that, disrespecting the man, the emotional violence, the emotional blackmail. You think that's a good thing for your children to see? Do you think you're setting a good example for them? Is that a good blueprint? Do you understand that what you're doing is harmful? You're taking as much as you can, but you're giving as little as possible. Do you not see that as harmful? Just something to think about. But of course, the Rafi doing it nice. No shouting or waving fingers, just a nice, smooth delivery. Nice, smooth delivery. Is this the future? You doing you? Is that the future? You doing you while the husband does for the whole family? Is that the future? Can you not see how harmful it is? Can you not see that it's emotional violence? It's blackmail, emotional blackmail. Can you not see that? Can you not see how behavior like that could break up a family home? Can you not see that? Can you not see that? Don't you see that it's crazy? Don't you see that it's unacceptable? Unacceptable. Okay, so let's look at the poll. Who will replace White? Gerald Washington, 42%. Philippe Hergovic, 42%. Michael Hunter, 14%. Derek Chisora, nil point. So the public have spoken in favor of Gerald Washington and Philippe Hergovic. I think the most available with 42%. I think the most available cat there is Michael Hunter at 14%. But he's been training. He's been sparring. with Anthony Joshua. Who does he go for ultimately? I don't know. But it looks like the people are in favor of Gerald Washington and Philippe Hrgovic. But who takes it? Who takes it? Hrgovic going the IBF route, I believe. I think it's the IBF route. Will he take the Joshua fight? Well, it's up to him. 1 week. He's orthodox. 1 week's notice. Or was he training in the background? Did Eddie Hearn have him training in the background? OMG. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Is this a conspiracy? Is this some kind of Watergate situation? How's this shizzle gonna play out? How's this shizzle gonna play out? We're gonna have to wait and see. Eddie Hearn's gonna have to come up with a name imminently. And then we will know. Until then, and of course, you can rest assured it will be reported right here on the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. So stay tuned. Go check out the video. And of course, we'll go live Monday night. Boxing Talk with Rafi. You know how we do. Around 9 p.m. UK time. Till then, tune in and break the knob off. It's Raphael Dawkins, joined by the John D. Lee, the Iron Kong 26, and of course, you, the people. Don't be afraid to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, hit all of the good buttons. Until then, sayonara. Blessed.